What's going on, guys? K-Pan here and welcome back. And in this video, I'll be featuring a strong unorthodox team in the GreatLeague's Holiday Cup. The team features a Shadow Annihilape Lead, Licky Safe Swap, which is essentially undefeated in this league, and Corviknight Closer. The Corviknight Closer is what makes this team unorthodox, where I haven't really seen much around, but it does a great job of shutting down Wigglytuff, which is everywhere, and of course, what the Annihilape is weak to. On top of that, it walls Furret energy and forces Licky to have to go for the more expensive Shadow Balls instead of Body Slams. With that said, this Pokemon could do very well in shutting down some common meta lines. And with that, let's get right to the battles. Alright, getting to the first battle, we lead Shadow Annihilape into Diggersby, an absolutely fantastic lead. They're going to safe swap into Wigglytuff, and we meet it with the Corviknight. Safe swapping Wigglytuff in any league is absolutely wild to me, but nonetheless, we do have that hard answer for it in the Corviknight. We land the first air cutter, we do not get the boost, tank the icy wind, and now we're going to load up energy and fire off the next air cutter. Going to see if we get the boost on this next one, which we do, and that is going to be very, very nice. Because you'll see here, I'll fire off this air cutter, and this will KO the Wigglytuff so they do not reach another icy wind. Almost KOs it, but one more sand attack does do the job. In comes Diggersby, load up on energy, and I fire off the payback. We want to get the hard-hitting move off, and my opponent can't farm me down, so we're gonna have to fire off a fire punch at some point. And they do that to deny me of getting to another payback. I just let the Corviknight come down, come and Annihilate. I am not going to shield this because if they have a Diggersby lead, chances are they're double strong to Annihilate in the back, especially since we can comfortably tank that Scorching Sands and then have the Annihilate align to the Diggersby later. But they have a Jellicent in the back, and this match is over. Essentially just hard countered my opponent. This one, fantastic lead, fantastic answer to their swap, and then fantastic answer to their Jellicent closer. Shadow Ball does get shielded, but we're not worried here because we can tank two Surfs and we will never get hexed down. They have to land a third. So here we overfarm, expecting the catch. The opponent comes in Diggersby, we hang on to our energy, pivot into Annihilate, take him out with the Ice Punch, but most importantly, we do have that Shadow Ball stored, where we lose CMP, but we still have two shields. So unfortunately, no two shield flex in this matchup, but we will be able to get out of this with a one shield flex at the very minimum, as Shadow Ball does take out the Jellicent. GG's. Next battle, leading Shadow Annihilape into Annihilape, so a little bit of a mirror match here. And this mirror match is very important that you win CMP, because if you win CMP, it just sets you up so much for success, especially with the boosted counters. So your opponent shields, you're going to shield, and then again, your opponent shields again, you will as well, and you just play it out from there. And if you end up losing CMP, it makes it very tough because you're going to have to catch your Rage Fist on your own Licky, like the second Rage Fist. So after all shields have come up, you would catch this next one. But then they get off so much good counter damage, and you know, it just sets you so far behind. So like you'll see here, my opponent catches the Rage Fist on their Furret, but man, I can just stay into this and look at those counters chunk. So now I'm gonna pivot out, catch the Swift onto my Licky. Was hoping to get the counter down, but either way we're fine because my Annihilape is still alive and will be able to reach a Shadow Ball or a Rage Fist against their Annihilape if needed, but it's not needed. Licky hangs on for the Ice Punch, makes the Shadow Ball, and then whatever their third Pokemon is, I will be able to reach another Body Slam, as it is that Furret. They cannot peck down. We get the Body Slam off, and now we just pivot the Corviknight from here, and there's nothing my opponent can do since Furret's entire moveset is resisted by the Corviknight. GG's. Next battle, Shadow Annihilape into Arctibax, another fantastic lead. And oh, looks like they're staying in. They are core broken by Annihilape, and this is just gonna do way too much damage to them. They go for an Icy Wind, lowering down my attack, but we shield. They're staying in. They're absolutely destroyed by this counter user, and now they come in Credilli. Oh my, is my opponent triple weak to Shadow Annihilape? So you know what that means. We're just gonna ramp up these counters here. Currently, we are single boosted because of the Icy Wind, and now we're going to be brought back to baseline here, but whenever my opponent brings in, it's an Aurorus, and oh my, Shadow Annihilape just 1v3 that entire team. So my opponent does end up top lefting. GG's. Next battle, Shadow Annihilape into Talonflame. Now we are kind of ABA weak to this, or so you would think, because if you landed this Rage Fist right here and your opponent no shields it, you can shield their move and counter them all the way down without them reaching a second move. It's kind of insane how Shadow Annihilape can do that. But if they end up shielding right there, then you will go 2 counters, your own Rage Fist, and then pivot into Licky for some nice rollout damage. And in doing so, if they pivot out and save their Talonflame for later, then your Corviknight will be able to take it out with an air cutter, so it won't really take any incinerate damage. They bring in Wigglytuff to counteract the Licky, which is kind of unfortunate because, you know, we like it onto the Corviknight. But either way, the important part is it was not on our Shadow Annihilape. So Licky will be able to handle it just fine as well. We reach another Body Slam, and due to my opponent going for the Swift and not the Icy Wind, this will KO because it's not debuffed. Now with Licky as low as it is, we do not want to give up any farm down, so we pivot into Corviknight. They come in Talonflame. We take a single Incinerate's worth of damage, get off that air cutter like I was talking about earlier, take out the Talonflame, and now with my Corviknight still being able to tank another Rock Slide, the little bit of health that's on my Annihilape and my Licky still with the potential to reach a Body Slam, there's no possible way for my opponent to win this match anymore, which it seems like they have realized because they have force closed themselves out of the app. And since they do that, I'm just going to pivot into Annihilape, get the counter down to speed things up. GG's to my opponent. Next battle, Shadow Annihilape into Furret, another fantastic lead. Shadow Annihilape has just been catching so many fantastic leads in these sets. They pivot into Talonflame, and this is what we have Licky for. Not only being a fantastic safe swap and pivot in itself, but a great answer to that Talonflame. Here, I end up going for the Body Slam, expecting them to call a shield because they want to try and flip switch. And in doing so, we do successfully force the first shield. They end up shielding the Talonflame, which I figured that's fantastic because Furret has nowhere to go against my Corviknight either. So whether their Furret ends up on my Shadow Annihilape or Corviknight, we're going to be in a good spot, especially with them down a shield. Now they come in Charger Bug for my Annihilape, and that's great. That Corviknight doesn't have to see it, and in doing so, we're just going to spend our shields on the Annihilape here, and this match is going to be over. Because you'll see that the Charger Bug is just getting way too low. We ended up shielding the Discharge, go for the Rage Fist. I go for the Rage Fist right here instead of the counter down because I expected them to try and snipe with a Sucker Punch. And we end up making the right call that they catch it on the Furret, get a nice counter's worth of damage off there, and this game is just over. Like, even my opponent makes a catch, there's nothing that they can really do to completely come back from this. They do land a Brick Break, go for a Swift here. You'll see that they do end up making a catch on the Charger Bug. So very nice play by my opponent, but they're just nothing that they can really do to close out from here since we do reach the final payback and take out the Furret. GG's. Next battle, Annihilape into yet another Furret. Opponent's going to stay in, swap into that Shadow, Alolan Marowak. I don't know if it's Shadow, it may be Shadow, but since they are on Hex, we're going to stay in, fire off the Rage Fist after 6 to take advantage of that 1 turn it takes to swap. Whether they're on Fire Spin or Hex, you'll do that, get some nice damage. And now we pivot into Licky. Just because if they are on that Flame Wheel or Fire Blast, which they are on that Flame Wheel, we don't want Corviknight to essentially get slapped by it. So we come in Licky, the safe option there, get the rollout down, get 1 Body Slam off against the Furret, 2 Body Slams off against the Furret. Watch this. 1 more, 3 Body Slams off. Licky just absolutely loaded and putting in so much work. Where here we can just pivot, snipe down the Furret, and oh, they have a Skeleturge in back, and that's not kind of bad for me, but still playable because Corviknight does have that payback. We're able to force their first shield, and Skeletor's with tons of energy. We're gonna have to make a catch in this end game, but as a Incinerate user, those catches are a little bit more choreographed to do than others. They go for a Blast Burn, and that's very good news for me that they're probably on Disarming Voice and Blast Burn instead of Torch Song and Shadow Ball, because that means that I can abuse the slower pacing. So see here, I'm able to load up. We get the Air Cutter bait, catch the Blast Burn onto Skeledirge, and from there we can comfortably reach this payback and close out the game. Payback lands on Skeledirge, and that is a GG's. Next battle, Shadow Annihilape into yet another Furret. Furret leads were everywhere, and that was one of the main reasons I was running Shadow Annihilape, where everybody was running Furret to try and set up their back line in the lead, and also to catch those Ghost leads or the Licky leads. And I just thought, you know what, Shadow Annihilape is great to counter all of that, and it's been proving worth it here, where they pivot into a Golurk, and I'm going to meet it with my Corviknight because we do resist those Mud Slaps. Land the Air Cutter. Golurk's very glassy, so the Air Cutter does KO. They come into Annihilape, and we have another parting Air Cutter for it. Does end up getting their final shield, and from here we can just come in our own Shadow Annihilape, and it's just going to sweep my opponent because they can catch this Rage Fist on their Furret all they want, but look at this counter damage. It's just going to do way too much to them, where I can comfortably just give up my final shield here to the Trailblaze. Down goes Furret, and then we leave with the boosted Rage Fist, of which Annihilape, see ya. Annihilape disappears in one charge move, and we're able to take that one. GG's. Next battle, Shadow Annihilape Mirror. Like we said, important to win CMP in this matchup, but I end up losing it. So you're going to see a little bit of the flip side here, where I go for a catch on my Licky. We're going to play the 2-shield scenario here, where we both shield the first Rage Fist. We'll both shield the second Rage Fist. And when the third one comes around, I will go for the catch. But my opponent does something a little bit interesting this match, if I remember correctly. Instead of them staying in, they were perhaps calling the catch too. So we both pivot, and this ends up being a fantastic situation for me, where now my Licky doesn't have to take those boosted counters, and we end up with an advantageous matchup of my Licky onto their Fearow. So that's why it's very important to, if you win CMP, to just stay in and not pivot out, because even if your opponent catches the Rage Fist, man, they chunk so hard, those counters do. So here they go for an Ice Punch. We're able to hang on, get to a Body Slam to take out their Annihilape, and now I have a Rage Fist stored or a potential Ice Punch, depending on what's in the back, a full health Corviknight, and my opponent's in a rough way, where here it's Credilli, and looks like they just force close the gap as well. So we're just going to counter them all the way down and take it. GG's. Next battle, Shadow Annihilape into Shadow Dusknoir. Atrocious lead. We're going to pivot into our Licky, build up to the Shadow Ball, and then go for the Body Slam. Why do we go for the Body Slam here? Well, it's a Shadow Dusknoir. If they call in, if they stay in, they're going to most likely shield the Shadow Ball, since they don't want to get one shot. And if they're staying in to get farm and they go for a catch, they're looking to catch onto something that resists the Shadow Ball. So it's a very safe Body Slam bait in that situation. Here we are going to go for the first Body Slam, so we don't want them to reach another move. They end up giving them up a shield, so we're going to under tap, make sure we get off this Body Slam to get both shields from them. Now they pivot into their Dusknoir, and that's fantastic for me, because if this is the Dynamic Punch, we're going to outpace to the Shadow Ball before they reach another Dynamic Punch. I overfarm by 1 because this can only be a Shadow Punch, and with it only being a Shadow Punch, I'm fine with that. It would have been nice to have not taken it, especially because it's a Skeledirge. So turns out that in most situations it would have been nice, but taking that additional Shadow Punch of damage actually ends up costing me this game, because I would have been able to reach that Shadow Ball that I wasn't able to because of taking that Shadow Punch. So a little bit of a misplay there. but it's a Skeleturge. It's good at sweeping games, as you'll see it did right here. Just ran through the line. Just fell short of that payback. GG's. Aurorus Lead, fantastic lead, swapping in that Sableye. I'm going to load up on energy, and you're going to see how not to play this matchup. This was my first time coming into a Sableye safe swap, so I kind of froze a little bit, but just pivot into your Licky right away. It's such a dominant matchup for your Licky that you'll be in a good spot, because if you'll see here that I get a shield, I give up a shield, I get a shield back, and now I'm going to be able to guarantee I keep switch, but my Shadow Annihilape took so much Shadow Claw damage that it's in Weather Ball range that it wouldn't have been in otherwise. So it's a little bit of an unfortunate situation there. So like I said, just pivot into your Licky right away, and you will be good to go. Here, opponent's going to fire off the Weather Ball right before I reach another Shadow Ball, which is very good timing by them. Now I'm going to wait out my clock, make sure I can swap what they swap. They end up firing off their Weather Ball, so we'll end up shielding it because we do not want our Corviknight onto that Aurorus. They have a Wigglytuff in the back, and despite that little bit of a misplay in that mid game there, we are going to be able to take this one due to Corviknight having such a good typing wise matchup into Wigglytuff. Like, the matchup isn't as dominant as you would like it to be. That's why sometimes people opt for Iron Head over Payback on their Corviknight, just to really like destroy the Wigglytuff. But just due to the steel typing resisting those charms, the air cutters, and the speed to the air cutters, Corviknight is able to do pretty decent here. We just watch for the catch, get the counter down, and now if my opponent charms me down, I leave the air cutter stored, but Shadow Annihilape was able to hang on with 1 HP and get to the Rage Fist to take it out, the Wiggly out itself. GG's. Overall, this team feels really nice. Shadow Annihilape gives some fantastic fast move pressure to the ever common normals, Licky does Licky things, and Corviknight proved just what it can do, even to the point of giving it a solid place in the meta despite it currently being underused. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate you. If you enjoyed it, please drop a like, subscribe, and comment down below. Love to hear what you have to say. And with that, I'll catch you in the next one.